What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 87. This is part 2 of our Week 16 review. With me tonight is the Bigs Commissioner. He is a 3-time Bigs champion. He is the reason for this league, and he is the reason within this league, Ben Nisman. Benny, how you feeling tonight, sir?
Feeling great, man. Looking forward to discussing part two. As I discussed with Jason in part one, more insanity. More will continue in the last few weeks. I mean, what else can you say? It's been a phenomenal season.
Absolutely, man. It's been an absolutely wonderful season, and we're just now getting to the point where the playoff picture is starting to take place. And as it starts to take shape week after week, there are going to be teams who shoot themselves in the foot or who elevate themselves into what I would call immortality on that a record book now exists where we're keeping all 6 names forever every time somebody makes the playoffs, Benji.
Yes, absolutely. And the record book it'll stand strong long after we're gone, hopefully. So I mean, what else can you say, man? Everyone has really put something in. They've contributed in some way to make something like this so incredible, so magical. And like you said before, like now that we see these potential playoff teams starting to take shape, it's what they do. And they need help from other managers as well. So everyone plays critical role in this entire thing working out.
All 16 teams will tell this story in one way or another. And what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. This is what we're going to say at this point. Let's dive right into this thing and start off with the marquee matchup of this week 16. It was, in fact, Josh Haber taking on Henry Collins.
You know, it's funny that we're talking about Henry Collins as being the marquee matchup, right? Like a rookie manager that's now in such a pivotal role in this entire thing. That's amazing. I mean, we keep saying it every week, but it really is amazing that we're talking about Josh Haber, who was kind of a basement dweller for so many years in this league, and Henry Collins. These two, this matchup, this was the most important one to watch during this week.
That's right, man. Now, I'm apparently having some technical difficulties here trying to show the screen. But that being said, Henry did win by 3 runs before a stat correction came to be. So they tied in runs. The home runs category was tied on Sunday, and Josh took that. The wins category, Josh held a 1-win advantage. Henry got 3 on Sunday to flip that category. Losses were tied, and Henry did, in fact, take one of those in order to untie that category. And Josh untied saves late on Sunday, along with coming back and overtaking innings pitched. Now, we talk a lot about making lemonade when you've got a bad situation, but this is one of those situations where that tacked on category right at the end might be really important this year, right, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. You need every stat. We've seen too many times in the past where someone is out of the playoffs by one stat or a half a stat, or God forbid, a tiebreaker. And in this case, I don't know how much Henry is kicking himself, but I was there when I lost to Christian by just 1 out in the innings pitched category. Here, Henry loses by 2 outs in that pitching category, and that's an ouch.
Absolutely a big ouch here. 4 close categories. Henry wins by 2 wins. Josh wins by 2/3 of an inning, a loss, an error, and a save. They tied in those runs that I mentioned. For Josh on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is 11 for 38.
Okay. um, 1144 would have been 250. Is it like 307?
It's 289. It's not
289.
quite that bad. He
I
did
would have
leave
said
two
two. I
runs.
swear to God, I was about to say 289. Could you
Wow.
imagine?
Wow. He left 2 runs on the bench, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 11 strikeouts. The 2 runs are the only thing that really matter here, despite the fact that he also left a triple there on Wednesday with Luis Perdomo. Luis Perdomo? That would be Geraldo Perdomo.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah. For his moves this week, he dropped Tyler Anderson, Connor Wong, and Marcell Ozuna on Monday and picked up Yency Almonte for a clean relief appearance, David Fry for an 0 for 3 run and a walk, and Brandon Belt 1 for 5 with a double and 2 strikeouts. He added AJ Minter, who was on the IL. He dropped David Fry for Griffin Canning, 5 innings, a bomb, 8 strikeouts, a 360, and a 140 whip. Dropped Jose Cisnero and Brandon Belt and added Gavin Williams, 4 innings, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 1.25 whip, and nothing earned. He dropped Griffin Canning for Mark Canha, who was on the bench. He dropped Mark Canha for Johnny Cueto, 6 innings, a loss, 2 bombs, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 6 ERA, and an 0.83 whip. Dropped Gavin Williams for Dean Kramer, who did not play. He dropped Colton Cowser for Scott Alexander, who was on the bench. Added AJ Smith-Shawver, 5 innings, 2 bombs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 540 and a 160. Dropped Cueto and dropped Dean Kramer for Shintaro Fujinami, who gave him the 2 innings he needed to get that 2-out difference in innings pitched on Sunday night, with a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. His key players this week, his MVP is Elly De La Cruz, 296 with a 321 on base percentage, 5 runs, a double, a triple, 2 bombs, 3 RBIs, a walk, and 10 strikeouts. But the triple that plays, he filled the entire stat line across the board here, Benjamin. Just an incredible week from that rookie yet again.
Yeah.
The least valuable hitter, Anthony Rizzo, no hits and 7 strikeouts. Gross. The Cy Young, it does pain me to say Sandy Alcantara, 9 innings. That's a complete game. A win, a walk, 7 strikeouts, a 1 whip, or I'm sorry, a 1 earned run with an 0.67 whip. And the Cy Young is the combination of Daniel Bard, Justin Lawrence, and Yency Almonte, who are all bad in the pen. For Henry on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is 10 for 39.
Wow. Is it 255?
It's 256. You almost got it. With 2 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 12 strikeouts. The 2 runs obviously also play. He benched an MJ Melendez home run on Wednesday with Yan Gomes in the catcher spot, who didn't start that game.
Wow, you trade for the guy could have given you runs, and the guy you had in didn't even start.
Right.
Yeah, that's just a big miss.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very big miss. Not sure what happened there, but I digress. For his transactions, he did trade away Willy Adames to get MJ Melendez, like we talked about. He also added Brandon Belak, a 4 1/3, 2 bombs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 5.79, and a 2.14. He dropped Brandon Belak for Enyel De Los Santos, an inning and a third, 0.75, and a relief appearance. He dropped Santos for Chase Silseth, who was wasted, and dropped Silseth for Xavier Curry, 3 innings, a loss, a homer, 3 walks, a 3 ERA, and a 1.67 whip. Dropped Domingo Herman for Jimmy Garcia, a third of an inning, a save, and a relief appearance. He dropped Curry for Bryan Wu, 5 innings, 2 walks, a 5.40, and a 1.80. He dropped Yimi Garcia for Chris Flexen, 3 2/3, a loss, 2 bombs, 6 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 12.27, and a 2.73 whip. Not great, especially since that start came in Colorado. He dropped Wu and Flexen for Taylor Saucedo, and a clean relief appearance. Added Ben Heller, who did not appear, And finally finished it off with dropping Matt Vierling for Luis Rengifo, 2 for 4, a double, and a walk. His key players this week, and this is going to be surprising when I tell you that Jan Gomes is in fact his MVP this week. 429 average with a 478 on base percentage, a run, 4 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, a walk, and only 2 strikeouts. Perhaps that's why he was playing Jan Gomes, but it still doesn't make sense as to why when you get the red X, you don't remove him.
The only thing I can think of besides that he just didn't get to his lineup in time was a scheduling thing where one player's game started much earlier, and he was thinking, even though Melendez is starting right now, I want Jan Gomes in the later game, so let me sit him, and then you find out 8 o'clock or whatever that Jan goes. But I don't know what the schedule is.
No, I don't either. And it's just ironic here that I have the least valuable hitter as MJ Melendez, who goes 1 for 8 on the week with 3 strikeouts. The Cy Young I'm giving to Carlos Estevez, 3 innings, 2 wins, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned, and 2 relief appearances. With the 233 whip is kind of ugly, but the 2 wins is exactly what he needed in order to win that category. So without that guy, he doesn't win the wins category. The Cy Yuck this week is the aforementioned Chris Flexen. Now, what I want to dive into here with you is the experience really won out this week. At least that's what I'm seeing. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Just being able to navigate the right decisions on Sunday. I wasn't able to count as you were going through it. Do you know offhand how many ads each manager used this week?
For Henry, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Henry. And for Josh, if you give me just a second.
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
All right, so one extra ad on the favor of Josh. Maybe if Henry uses those 2 extras, he's able to get those extra 2 outs to tie or a full inning to win that category. Hard to get 2 on him for that. Henry's in a position right now where he just needs to stay around this pace, right? Like, yeah, he does need a good enough win against Matt Losey, but he does have a kind of a challenging schedule going forward after that. He does have Christian on the schedule, but some challenging matchups. Of course, we know about his final matchup against Costas in week 22. Mm-hmm. So he can still just tread water like this and make the playoffs, but he can't take a crushing loss here. He's able to deal with, a 12-8 loss. That's something that you can tolerate right now to a great manager, someone who's kind of chasing you. So it's not ideal, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Josh, who had been on kind of a skid, dealing with that loss from Frank, right? He needed this win more. And he probably could have lived with a tie, but it's big that he got a +4 here, because going forward, having to face you, he's got me at some point. He's going to have to face James McCloskey as well. Like, they're not the most ideal matchups for him. So he needed something here, at least a tie, and he's able to get that +4. I'm happy to see that he was able to do that, because any more than that, like anything like a 13-6 loss that he would have taken, it would have been rough. He got a 13-7 loss in week 14 to Costas, a guy that's chasing him. And then in week 15, he takes an 11-9 loss, right? So we're talking, we're talking -8 over 2 weeks, then to get that right back and make it -2 over 3 weeks, it's a little bit more tolerable going into that matchup against you. And as far as Henry goes, again, all he's got to do really right now is tread water, and he should be okay. But you know this league, crazy things happen. Like maybe Matt Losey doubles him up 12-6, and now Henry is pushing the panic button, needing to make odds aggressively in order to save his season. It's going to be amazing to see what happens in these final 5 weeks.
It's so crazy to see a veteran like Josh go up against a rookie here in his first season, obviously, and in the position that Henry was in. He was in first place, and this was a really tight matchup almost the entire way. Josh was able to get to this 12-8 on Sunday by playing the way that he knows how, and this is a learning experience for Henry here. You had this thing relatively locked up at a 10-9 or maybe 11-9 max, and it ends up being 12-8 because of the lack of aggression here. The Sunday lack of aggression, the lack of foresight to say, all right, let's let all of these games play out and then see if I need anything on a Sunday night. That's exactly what Josh did, and that was the difference here. It really, really was. That's
And
not a
now,
that's just like, you're going to experience this, so next time you'll be ready for it.
right. And now, if you recall, in week one, Henry beat Josh 12-9. Now Josh takes one 12-8. If they match up in the playoffs, Josh has the tiebreaker if they manage to tie in that matchup. So that's something else to look at, that he has a one stat advantage in front of him. He holds the tiebreaker right now.
That's crazy. That's yeah, and you know what? Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that these two guys do meet in the playoffs for a third matchup.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they've already split makes it even more interesting, because when you have somebody who wins two over a guy, it's awful hard to beat him that third time.
No doubt. Believe me. It was hard.
Let us move on to the next matchup here, my friend, and we are going to go into Bobby Russo taking what I'm saying here is a real chicken salad loss over to Mike Sherman. What did you see?
I saw one of the most critical comebacks so far this entire season as far as mitigating this loss and making it a good loss. I mean, incredible batting average and ERA for Mike Sherman throughout the week. A dominating performance. I think he was up as much as 14-5 on Sunday. For it to become 10-8, the Italian from Tom's River may have saved his season on Sunday. And he was nearly knocked out, but it's just a flesh wound, really, coming from the Sephardic Jew from Long Island, who's just so dangerous and devastating to play. And no one wants Mike Sherman. And this is why, because a 318 batting average and a 193 ERA over 60 innings. It's like, are you kidding me? How the hell is someone supposed to compete with it? You can't win.
Right.
You can't win. But to manage to a 10-8 loss, this is a matchup that we may talk about for decades, Joe. If dare I say, Bobby ends up in the finals, or dare I say, wins the whole damn thing, we'll talk about how he was able to do this because it made the difference in where he was in the standings, or maybe he gets the 6th spot in the playoffs. This is one that we will talk about for many, many years to come. Amazing comeback. And I'll get into Bobby's comments about this matchup later on.
Sounds great. I also have some comments from Bobby, but I'm sure they're not as extensive as they are with you. The one thing that I will point out here is that Bobby always has been known to play toward the middle, and that does in fact come into play here, because you mentioned it. This was a very big one-sided matchup on Mike Sherman's side going into Sunday. Let's talk about Sunday. See, on Sunday, Mike Sherman had a 27 tick lead in on base percentage. Bobby takes it by 3. He had a 13 2/3 inning advantage. Bobby takes that by 2 outs. Bobby had a 1 walk advantage. He does end up giving that up because of the fact that he's throwing so many pitchers. But Mike Sherman also had a 10 strikeout advantage, and Bobby comes back and ties that up. Close categories this week. Bobby wins the on-base percentage by that 3 ticks I mentioned and the 2 outs. Sherman wins by 2 RBIs and 2 stolen bases. They tied in triples and strikeouts, and of all things, relief appearances with 21. On the bench for Mike Sherman this week, Benjamin, it is an 11 for 32.
Ooh, that hurts when you lose on base percentage that close, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Uh, is it 330?
It's 344.
Oh, I went the other way with it.
Yeah. 4 runs, 3 doubles, 5 RBIs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and an error. None of it actually ends up playing because
beyond base it does.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really matters.
Right. Because all he needs to do is switch one.
Matter. Right. None of the counting stats matter, but I mean to hit 318 and lose on base percentage because your opponent had 22 walks.
Yeah. He almost doubled them in 22 to 13. It's like that's the difference. And that's why I really love the stats in this league, Joe, because if we were adding one more like the OPS or the slugging, then you probably win. But here you can split one and then on base percentage is up for grabs.
Right. Now, he only made one move. He dropped Christian Encarnacion Strand on the 29th. That's it. And he was still able to dominate 6.5 days. Like 6.5 days out of 7, he dominated Bobby. And Sunday was really where Bobby came to play. His MVP this week, I'm going to give to Bobby Witt Jr., 423 with a 444. 5 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 bombs, 9 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Mauricio Dubon, who looks like he goes 1 for 9 with a run and a strikeout. The Cy Young this week, I mean, pick a guy, really. Shohei Ohtani with 9 innings, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, nothing earned, and 0.44 with a win is awful nice there. Jose Barrios put up 11 innings of 245 ball, but he did have 6 walks, which is kind of ugly. Either way, this was an unbelievable pitching week. You hit it on the head to start it off, 193 and an 092. Very, very nice week. So for that being said, the Cy Young, it's not really maybe Clark Schmidt, but he got a win. Like nobody pitched worse than that guy. Insane week. For Bobby on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is 8 for 34.
I'll go 238.
235. With 5 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The steals play, the RBIs play. He would have had to be perfect to get both of those in, and you're asking a lot to try to get.
Sorry, how many steals did he leave on the bench?
3.
Yeah, so
you have to be perfect to flip that category. You have to be perfect in the RBI category in order to tie that. I know part of that is what Bobby was feeling like. He left so many stolen bases on the bench. Yeah, but it needed to get all 8 that your team was going to give you this week, and that's a really tough ask. For his transactions this week, he did trade away MJ Melendez to get Willie Adames. He dropped Kike Hernandez, Mason Englert, and Brennan Bernardino, added Brock Stewart, who was on the IL, added Jonathan Heasley, an inning and a third, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 20.25 ERA, and a 3 whip in a relief appearance. He dropped Brian Baker for Colin Holderman, who was benched during his relief appearance, and that would have won the category. He added Brandon Belak, 5 innings, a loss, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 5.40 and a 2.20, and dropped Colin Holderman for Ryan Yarbrough, 7 innings, a win, a bomb, 5 strikeouts, a 1.29, and a 1 whip. Those 5 strikeouts, just enough to tie that category. For his MVP this week, I'm going to give that to Jose Ramirez, 310 with a 355. 6 runs, a double, 4 bombs, 7 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 big errors that probably cost him the category. But we're talking about Jose Ramirez here. He also won in like 3 or 4 categories alone. The least valuable hitter is the new acquisition of Willy Adames, a 100 with a 182, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. The Cy Young is the brand new Tampa Bay Ray, Aaron Savale. 14 innings, 2 wins, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts, an 064 and an 086. And the Cy Young is that Heasley clown who gave up a bunch of runs over a relief appearance and 2 bombs. Benjamin, like you said, he turned chicken crap into chicken salad here on Sunday and really saved his season. Is Bobby Russo going to break this cycle that he's seen of I'm either barely in on the 6th spot like he was in, what was it, 2020, 21?
Yeah, that was.
Or is he going to miss the playoffs like he has in 19 or 22?
My friend, until last night, I would have said I don't know, but something enormous happened last night against his opponent Christian, where Christian could have started 2 players, 2 pitchers actually, one in Andrew Heaney and one in Patrick Sandoval. And I know this is more of a discussion for next week, but that could have made us be like, oh, Bobby might be in trouble now because he's facing Christian. He might not be able to get the big win, but I feel a little bit more comfortable with him now. I think he's going. I think he does have a very tough schedule after Christian. We mentioned how he has to face 3 WNW members in a row, and that is tough. But look, all those guys, they're also playing for a playoff spot. And you and Frank and Henry, like you guys are all going to be pushing the panic button to some extent. So I think as long as he can take care of business this week against Christian, he should be okay. Yeah, he did some enormous work here, and he had to deal with some tough things that happened. One thing I know that he wanted me to discuss is that on Saturday there was an opening here where this guy Bolzevik on Minnesota and Colin Holderman were both in the game. They both made it into the game. They were relief appearances that could have made it in, and they were left on the bench. Whether that was trying to stay away and maybe holding ERA or walks given up or losses or whatnot, but he was trying to stay away from them. He ends up getting 2 losses anyway. Aaron Nola gets blown up. Bailey Ober gets blown up. And those relief appearances, all he needed was one of them. He would have taken losses anyway. He would have lost in walks given up anyway if he plays the guy from Minnesota. So there was an opportunity to win relief appearances. He was frustrated by that. He was frustrated by the stolen bases because he had 3 to win it, 2 to tie, so maybe there is a chance to get in there. Then Bolzevik on Wednesday and Jonathan Heasley, both of these guys, an inning and a third, like basically identical stats, an inning and a third, both with a 20.25 ERA, a 2.25 whip, and a 3 whip. So just some tough pitching performances. Yeah, like it's, those walks end up hurting him ultimately. But remember, he did need all of those innings basically to get himself through it. He mentioned that how his starting pitchers got blown up early, like the Nola got lit up, needed to figure out a way to make the minimum somehow. And he was so behind in innings and so behind in these like ERA stats, it almost seemed like, as I was watching it, he's going to have to get to the minimum. And by doing that, he's probably going to hurt his walks given up. He's probably going to hurt his home runs given up, and hope that he finds a way to win strikeouts. And it's crazy that he ends up hiding strikeouts at the end of the day.
Strikeouts, yeah.
So,
Ronnie Marinara sauce on the Sunday night game comes in for 2 1/3 to give him, what was it? Give him innings and the strikeouts tied.
Right. Yeah. Severino getting blown up gets Bonnie into the game, to get him those innings. He lost walks, ran down strikeouts, and relief appearances got tied, was able to grab the innings, as we know, and attempted to chase steals that could never happen. And just Volpe and Bader and Adley Rushman, those 3 guys on Sunday night to get to dominating to get him on base percentage. I mean, the Sunday night game, like everything that happened, and I talked about how Severino got blown up. That gave me about three stats, and in that same token, it gave Bobby about five, at least not losing those. Like he took on base percentage. He avoids losing strikeouts. He avoids losing innings pitched. He ends up tying relief appearances. Like these kinds of things in the Sunday night game, like that is special. Like I can't imagine what he was going through watching that game as a Yankees fan also.
On
And
top of it, yeah.
right, because it's an important game for the Yankees and a rubber game, right? Because the Yankees won on Saturday against Baltimore. So that's an important game for the Yankees. But then all these little things that needed to happen in order to get him stats. And it was a shitty loss for the Yankees. They had 18 strikeouts, but just what he needed fantasy wise to get him to this point. So I feel I've never really asked Bobby what comes first, Yankees or fantasy. I think gun to his head, it's probably the Yankees, but at the same time, like there is probably a glimmer of hope and happiness when certain things happen like this in the final game, even if it's to the Yankees.
It's a hell of a week for Bobby to sit in the sixth spot and go, all right, I'm still in. I need to do a lot of work over the next 6 weeks in order to make sure that this is going to finish out the way I want it to. And there's a lot of hungry teams right behind him. I would hate for a season like this where we have seen Bobby Russo be as good as the second place team and as bad as maybe the seventh place team at some point. For him to be on the outside looking in yet again would be a travesty to me. Let's move on to the next matchup, Benjamin. And while we're at it, let's talk about a guy who is chasing that playoff picture. That would be your boy. Don't look now, but guys, I'm 7 back. And if you think I'm stopping, I'm not. I hit the right buttons at the right time to get a nice +9 over Ari Nisman this week. Let's talk about Sunday. On Sunday, I flipped the runs category, I flipped the on base category, and I flipped walks by a pitcher, of which Ari had the lead on it, but he gave up 9 of them on Sunday. Hideous. Close categories this week. I win by the run, the triple, the save, and 9 ticks on the whip. For Ari, he wins by 3 homers, 4 RBIs, 10 ticks on the batting average, and 1 loss. We did not tie in anything. On my bench this week, Benjamin, I went 5 for 22.
Yeah. 238.
It's 227. 5 runs, a double, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 6 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. The only thing that plays is all 4 of those RBIs would have to be in order for me to tie the category. Not going to happen. For my moves this week, I added Ryan Nelson, 6 innings, 2 bombs, 3 walks, a strikeout, a 750 and a 183 at home against St. Louis. Difficult line there for what I thought was a pretty nice matchup. I also added Alek Thomas, who went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a walk. I dropped Thomas for Yanni Chirinos, 3 2/3, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 982, but I dropped him before the start happened, so we'll get to that in a moment. I dropped Tim Hill for Tommy Kahnle, clean relief appearance with a strikeout, and dropped Ryan Nelson. I added Mike Now on Thursday, that was the big play here, was Thursday. I dropped Kahnle for Mike Moustakas, 3 for 7, 3 runs with a strikeout. Dropped Tyler Rogers for Luis Rengifo, 2 for 9, a run, a double, a triple, 2 RBIs, and 2 strikeouts. And I added Andrew Kittredge and Garrett Whitlock for my IL spots. I dropped Luis Rengifo for Bobby Miller, 5 innings, a loss, a bomb, 6 strikeouts, a 540, and a 120 at home against Cincinnati, who has been cold lately. Thought that was going to be a good start. Took the loss. Dropped Moustakas for Lance Lynn. Dropped Chirinos for Giovanni Moran. 2/3 of an inning, a 1350 and a 150. I liked the idea of a Minnesota reliever on that day. I just picked the wrong one. I think they were facing Kansas City. I dropped Bobby Miller for Brandon Pfaadt, 5 2/3, a bomb, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 476, and a 159 at home against Seattle. Dropped Bryan and dropped Pfaadt. I used all 12 yet again, Benjamin. 3 hitters, 7 starters, and 3 relievers. My MVP this week is William Contreras, 360 with a 407, 2 runs, 3 doubles, a bomb, 6 RBIs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter goes to Randy Arozarena, who did not get me a hit, a 235 on base because he got 2 walks, a steal, 2 runs, and 2 strikeouts. The Cy Young is Freddie Peralta, 6 innings, 13 big strikeouts, and a no decision with an 067 whip. And the Cy Young either goes to Tim Hill or Giovanni Moran, who both gave me 1350s on the ERA. Over on Ari's side this week, my friend, he went 22 for 68.
Oh, so damn close, but man, that is awful. Just awful work out of Ari there on the bench. I mean,
Yeah.
you think all he had to do was make one little difference and he wins on base percentage and maybe saves somebody else's season by being a spoiler. But no, it's is it 328?
It's 324 with 10 runs, which he only needed 1 to get the tie. 6 doubles, doesn't matter. 3 homers, 14 RBIs. 14 RBIs would have crushed me. A steal, 9 walks, and 14 strikeouts. He did not make very many moves this week. He dropped, looks like Danny Jansen for Suzuki over 4 with a run, an RBI, and a walk. Dropped Jesus Sanchez for Will Brennan. Fuck that guy. 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI. Like, get out of here. Yeah. He dropped Suzuki for Cutter Crawford, 5 2/3, a win, a walk, 7 strikeouts, a 159 and an 071 at San Francisco. That was the correct stream. I picked the wrong one. And then he dropped Will Brennan. He only used 3. The MVP this week, my friend, is Bo Bichette. 480 with a 519 on base, 3 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Teoscar Hernandez, a 148 with a 172, a run, 3 RBIs, a walk, and 12 big strikeouts. The Cy Young is Luis Castillo, 13 innings, a win, 3 walks, 16 strikeouts, a 138 and an 069. And the Cy Young is Trevor Williams, who threw 2 starts, 10 innings, a loss, an 8.10 ERA, a 2 whip, and a bunch of other counting stats that were not very pretty. Benji, a few weeks ago, I said that my season was over and that I wasn't making the playoffs. I still stand by the idea that I'm not making the playoffs, but I will at least concede that I'm in this fucking thing.
Yeah, I feel like you say that, Joe, just so that if it doesn't happen, you could be like, I told you so, and then you're not disappointed. But if it does happen, you could be like, oh, and I was in the whole time, Your low point was what? That you were like maybe 20 under?
Yeah, it was like 22, actually. 22 under in 14th place.
Okay, and what week was that? Week 12?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay, so with 10 weeks to play, and you had one of the more generous schedules, let's say, just because, I would say that you basically had Ari's number. Obviously, Ari had that first win against you. I think it was something like 13-8. But Matt Losi, in your sights, and Bryan Lebo, and a Christian in the final week. The is in front of you, man. It still is. And
it still is.
I truly believe that you are a playoff team this year. And my only fear is that you end up facing me in the first round or in the semis, and that I have to deal with you because I've been a little too good against you in the playoffs lately that I think we're overdue for a change. So I do fear you to get in the playoffs. I'm kind of hoping the spoilers pull it off against you and that you're able to miss out. But gut feeling onto my head, I think you're in, man. And again, I do think you saying I'm probably not getting in is just your way of not being disappointed if it doesn't happen. But there's no one that I would count against like there's no one that I would doubt against less, or than you. You're the first guy that I would say that if you're in 14th place or in last place, this is the guy that I'd see rising to the top more than any other manager because you work harder than every other manager. I truly believe that.
I'm 7 out of a playoff spot right now. I'm still 2 more teams that I need to jump. I've already jumped James McCloskey, so we're working our way up that standings. Next one in line is Jason, and Costas is right there. There's a lot
who
of
are
good.
playing who are playing each other right now.
Yeah.
Understand? So all you got to do is take care of beeswax this week. That not only necessarily jumps you over one, you've also beaten Josh and gotten you closer to him.
Mm-hmm.
So like the scheduling is in your favor because a lot of these guys are playing against each other, and the only one that you're playing against besides Josh is Jason. Oh, and Bobby. Sorry. Okay, so maybe two. But
Yeah.
still, man, like it's in line for you for sure. Like I have no doubt in my mind.
I don't think I need to win out. This is 4 in a row now after I beat Ari, um, after losing 5 in a row. So it's been a very streaky season for me so far this year. And with 6 to go, I don't need to win all 6, but I certainly need to win, I think, 4 of them in order
Four
to
of
get
them.
in.
Right. And not get crushed against a Josh, a Jason, or a Bobby.
Or
Like you
Mike.
can even no, you can get crushed by Mike because he's going anyway. You
That's
know what
true.
I mean? Like
It's true.
it's really those three out of six. Josh, Jason, Bobby. You can't get crushed by one of the three of them.
It's going to be real interesting. I really listen. If you had talked to me yesterday or the day before yesterday and asked me how I was feeling about my playoff chances, they were a lot lower than they are right now. Now, this is partly for next week, but the trade that Frank dropped in my lap last night just flat out made me realize that maybe this is going to be a thing. Maybe this really is going to be a run to 10 straight that I've had to put together in the second half. And you've been right all along, man. Like, it's laid out. The golden road to the playoffs is there again. I just need to start walking it, and I already have started for the last month.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I was kicking myself the week I played you and I missed out on like the on base percentage stat because I thought, every stat that I missed out against Joe gets him closer to the playoffs. And you in the playoffs, no one wants to deal with that. Literally, no one wants to have to face you, especially the fact that you had to climb this high, the fact that you have all that momentum,
Mm-hmm.
you have basically nothing to lose at that point. No one wants to have to deal with that, Joe.
So Josh, Jason, Bobby, those are the weeks that are important. And I know that these 3 guys are listening to this. Don't let me in. Don't let me crash this party. Don't let me be the guy who's going to bump somebody out of this thing because the top 6 or 7 or 8 of you have had this story going for so long that it would be a damn shame for somebody like me to just waltz in and go, no, 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 no. Get out. This is my show. I've been in here for 9 straight years. It's time for a 10th. Like, no, please keep me out because it's a better story that way.
I agree, man. And that's what we were saying from the beginning that you, me, and Mike Haber have been the 3 that have been so consistent. It's all set up for that to happen again. Like it's in front of me right now. I was talking with Jason how basically my season was on the line on Sunday and Severino's failures that got me right back in it with this schedule in front of me. Yeah, if I had to guess, I think I'm in or convinced Mike Haber is in. And then you've been 3 to the 6 again. It's the 3 of us. So it would kind of suck. It just sucks for those other managers that work so damn hard for 22 weeks and then they don't see it at the end.
Especially somebody like Frank, somebody like Josh, somebody like Henry, somebody like Costas, Jason Ashby, even James McCloskey, who's still in this thing 9 out of a playoff spot right now.
Russo. I mean, the list goes on and on.
I would rather see the story be that my heart is broken on a really, really hard run to try to get to 10 then I actually break somebody's heart in the final weeks. I want to see 6 different teams in the playoffs than what we've seen before. But that is not to say that I'm not coming for each one of your asses. And if I can get number 5, it'll definitely be a different story than any
Yes,
other championship I've won.
absolutely. Based on how the 16 managers were this year and how high you had to climb for you to finish it off that way, yeah, it would be something to say. And just the other thing is that the three of us being in so much, there's also it leans to the fact that it is a skill game to that extent. Like there's a reason that has been a consistency.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. There's no surprise that we see the same teams every year at the top of the standings. And yet I think that there's always the way for somebody to do what I've done, to be that team who's going to come up and crash the party this year or any other year. I don't think we've seen somebody climb like I have in recent memory. Do you?
Bryan Lebo
Mm.
in 2021 was on the bottom, and then he came pretty high up until he faced me. And I think it was that we had to face each other in like week 18 or week 19, and I beat him pretty good. And then it kind of fizzled out from there.
Yeah,
But
and that's usually what we see is that there is
yes,
a team on the come and then enough's enough. Somebody stomps out the bug.
yeah,
Well, the opportunity is in front of you. Josh Haber gets the first crack at ruining my season and ruining the comeback. But if he can't do it, it just keeps that train rolling, and that would be
right,
5 in a row.
right. And then Matt Losi in the week after that, I
Mm-hmm.
could very easily make it 6 in a row and pivot to Mike Haber,
Yeah.
and then see if he was able to do it. But I mean, he's had a pretty decent record on you. At some point, I would say that you're due to him up pretty good. That can happen. And your team matches up decently against him too. So a lot can still happen, man. And we
Oh,
can't
yeah.
what this season has told us is that we can predict almost nothing.
That's very true. That's very true. We can hope for all of the things in the world, but the baseball gods will get what the baseball gods want. And if they want me in the playoffs to crash it, okay, we're going to make it happen. We're going to try to make it happen anyway. Final matchup this week. You alluded to this gentleman earlier, Benjamin. It is Bryan Lebo taking yet another loss to this one to Adam Lowenstein, 14-7. What'd you see here?
I got a 14-5 finish here for me
Yeah,
and
what did I
Joe.
say? 14-7?
Yeah.
Yeah, 14-5.
Uh, Adam had it the whole way. He was extremely angry about leaving doubles on the bench, but he was able to get them late. I'm not sure where they came from. Maybe it was Labor Torres in the final game, but or something happened in the late afternoon where doubles were compromised, but he was able to pull it off. He got basically everything that he needed, dominated on the offensive side. He didn't pitch his best, but he a 4.08 ERA should win a lot of weeks. Great ERA out of Bryan Lebo. He's able to grab a couple of categories there. Adam, he's not in the conversation for the playoffs, but 5 under 500. If he did go bananas in the last 6, have 14 kinds of wins over the next 6, he still would probably need help. But I guess we can't necessarily say he's done. He's mathematically out. He's not. He's had an incredible comeback here in the last couple of weeks. And this is a dangerous manager to play against if you're a team that's trying to get to the playoffs right now, because he's a hungry manager. He's enjoying playing the game. And even when he's out of it, he's still addicted to going to the app and checking the team and playing by the score and seeing what he can do to grab a stat here and a stat there.
Absolutely. I would have really liked to see Adam be aggressive at the trade deadline and try to acquire a piece or two to put this thing closer into contention. But I don't know that there was anything really out there for him to go get. The deadline was rather quiet, and I think everyone's kind of holding and hoarding their chips and going, well, this is the group that got me here. I can't mess this up, because if I mess it up, then I'm not going to the playoffs. But sometimes those teams toward the bottom need to get aggressive and make things happen and change things up in order to try to get more chips, shall we say. All right. On Sunday, Adam tied the saves category. He did hold on to the doubles category like you talked about. Close categories this week. He did win by the double. He won by 2 steals, and he won by 3 walks by a batter. For Lebo, he wins by 3 wins and 3 relief appearances, and they tied in triples and saves. For, I guess this is Adam on it. No, this will be Adam on his bench. He went 9 for 35.
I know what 9 for 45 is, but 476. Is it 262?
257 with a run, 3 doubles, 5 RBIs, 6 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 errors. None of it plays, and he won every offensive category. Congratulations, sir. His moves this week: he dropped Bryan Wu for J.P. Crawford, 2 for 5 with a double and a strikeout. Dropped Gabe Spire for DJ LeMahieu, 0 for 2 with 3 walks and a strikeout. He picked up Kyle Farmer and then dropped Kyle Farmer for a waste and picked up Yerry De Los Santos, 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, an 0-50 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped DJ LeMahieu for Ben Lively. More on that guy in a moment. 6 2/3, a loss, a homer, 3 strikeouts, a 270, and a 120 at Milwaukee. He dropped J.P. Crawford for John Birdie, 2 for 3, 3 runs, a double, an RBI, a strikeout, and an error. All of that was on the bench. He dropped Yerry De Los Santos for Enyel De Los Santos, and third of an inning, a walk, a 27, and a 6. And he dropped Ben Lively for Brennan Bernardino, an inning, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 9, and a 2 as an opener. It's 8 adds, 4 hitters, a starter, 2 relievers, and an opener. The MVP this week is Matt Olson, 368 with a 381, 4 runs, 3 bombs, 8 RBIs, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is, in fact, Gleyber Torres. Where is he? Here he is, 176 with a 222. He does have the double that wins the category, a walk and a strikeout. The Cy Young is Craig Kimbrell. That's surprising. 4 innings, a loss, a save, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 225, a 1 with 4 relief appearances. The Cy Young, yeah, it's the save that's important. The Cy Young is Bryce Miller, 5 2/3, a win, 4 bombs, 7 strikeouts, a 963 and a 141. With a shout out to, was that Joe Ryan, who had a bad outing, 3 2/3 with a 982, but he did have 7 strikeouts. For Lebo on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is 4 for 25.
Oh, gonna get one more hit, huh? 5 for 25 is 200. 4 for 25. 188.
160. With 3 runs, an RBI, a steal, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and an error. None of it plays. The ads this week: he dropped Matt Manning for Kyle Nelson, a third of an inning, a win, and a relief appearance. He dropped Zach Thompson for Steven Matz, who's now his namesake. 6 innings, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, a 1 whip in Arizona. And he added Colin McHugh for a clean relief appearance of a third of an inning, a win, and 2 strikeouts. He dropped Kyle Nelson for Alex Wood, a 3-inning relief appearance with a win. And he added J.J. Bleday, 1 for 4 with a double, a run, and a strikeout. He dropped Bleday for Jacob Webb, clean relief appearance. Added Michael Kelly for a 1 earned run relief appearance of 1 inning and a walk. And added Dominic Smith, an 0 for 3 with a strikeout. He dropped all 3 of those guys, or 2 of those guys. He dropped Webb and Smith, along with Aaron Loop, For DJ LeMahieu, 2 for 4 with a strikeout. He added Adam Wainwright, 6 innings, a loss, 2 bombs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 6 and a 167 at home against Chicago. Dropped Taylor Ward, rest in peace, possibly Taylor Ward's 2023 season, as he needs facial reconstructive surgery after taking a ball to the face. Rich Hill was the pickup, 5 innings, a homer, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 360 and a 160 at home against Philly. He dropped Dane Myers for Ramon Laureano, who got him a 2 for 3. That's 12 ads, 4 hitters, 3 starters, 4 relievers, and a bulk guy. The MVP I have here written, nobody. I mean, he hit 198 with a 262 on base. We're going to go with nobody. The least valuable hitter, I have everybody. It's that bad. Okay.
Yeah.
The Cy Young is Steven Matz that we discussed earlier, and the Cy Yuck we're going to give to Marcus Stroman. What a terrible week that this guy has when Marcus Stroman is the least as a Cy Yuck, and he hits the IL. 3 1/3, a homer, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts at 1890 and a 330 whip. Gross. Benjamin, this might be the worst week that the doctor has seen.
Yeah, and as far as well, he did take a pretty brutal one to Henry. What was it? Right before the All-Star week.
Week 15?
Hang on, bear with me because I actually have the schedules right in front of me.
18-2.
Yep. That's at 18-2 in week 14. So I would probably say that was a rougher one where we could kind of, because it was followed, it was right after a 14-4 loss to Frank. So after the 18-2 happens, we know that Bryan's season is probably more than likely over. This was just insult to injury. This is just kicking him when he's down. And I'm not going to say that he doesn't have a chance to do something to make us remember him this season. He's got me this week. He's got James McCloskey in the following week. Second to last week, he's got Josh Haber. I would say those are basically the only ones he can really do anything that would make us remember, because he's got Mike Sherman, he's got Ari Nisman, and he's got Matt Losi in the final week. So against me and against Josh in the second last, and if you want to say James McCloskey's still in this thing, that one as well. So it's been an unfortunate season, an unfortunate finish, especially because there was some momentum. He had won 3 in a row between week 7, week 8, and week 9. He had 2 in a row in week 11 and week 12. There was a little bit of momentum, but there wasn't really that many big time wins aside. I mean, you want to say a +5 over Costas in week 12. I'm sorry. No, he beat Mike Haber 15-3. So I would say that was probably the biggest moment in his season, and that was in week 8, where you can really say like, oh, okay, there's plenty of time now, but it's unfortunate. He ran into tough teams at the wrong time, or his team just didn't perform. In this case, it's a little of both. Like, your opponent batted 300. So, like, even if you had a good offensive week, like, you're still probably not winning. So it was, I guess, a good time to have a bad week, but not when you've taken such brutal losses for the last 5, basically. So it's unfortunate. He's had a tough year. But he loves playing, he loves competing, and I think he's going to continue to try.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. He's going to spoil somebody's season. He's going to win at least one of these final 6 weeks. The question is, when does the team all come together for that one week that he's going to win? And it could be as easy as a 10-9 win, but if I know this guy, he's gonna do exactly what he's done all season. He's going to pitch his ass off, and if he gets the right guys in, he gets the right formula in for a week, he can absolutely be dangerous and knock a team down. And when the standings are this close, if it's to one of those guys whose impact can be felt in the standings this way, they're going to kick themselves all winter if they lose to the doctor here, and the doctor has diagnosed them with no playoff-itis.
Nicely done. Now, on the other side, Adam Lowenstein's finishing schedule goes as such. It's Ari Nisman this week, followed by Josh Haber, then Matt Losi. It's the 3. He winds up with it. Mike Haber, Jason Ashby, Bobby Russo. So What can he do here? Well, he can beat Josh Haber and make his playoff hopes a little bit more challenging. And then on that final three, he could make the difference between Mike Haber getting a bye or getting the three spot, or getting even the first place versus the second place, and change the seating on that. And then of
Mhm.
course Jason Ashby, maybe he blows up his chance of a playoff chance and hopes. And same with Bobby Russo in the final week. Adam has it in front of him to make noise as far as being a spoiler. And if he does due to Ari, let's say hypothetically, Ari's had some horrible, horrible weeks. Obviously, he got shut out by Henry 2 weeks ago. He takes a -9 from you. I beat him 16-4. That's a -12. So we can see Ari's team is in this kind of position where he can get rocked because he doesn't really have the closers to win in that category. He's not going to probably win that one against Adam. So already relief appearance and saves are done. So let's just say hypothetically, Adam gets a +10 here and puts him over 500. Now that's
Mhm.
5 over with 5 weeks to play. We both said we might need to get to what, like 22 over or 25 over
I'm
to
thinking
make it in.
25 over should be able to do it.
Yeah, usually 22 is enough, or
Mhm.
20, even 20 is enough.
Yeah,
Not this year
not
with
this
so
year.
many, not this year. There are too many good teams. So if you're 5 over with 5 weeks to play, I gotta say, if you were gonna tell me that I'd be 5 over with 5 weeks to play, I would I sign up for it?
I don't think so.
Probably not. Probably not. You'd probably want to be better and not having to sweat it out, but it certainly could be worse, and it is attainable. It is a possibility, especially because he is playing Bobby and Josh and Jason, three guys that are fighting for these spots.
What I'm wondering is right now the playoff picture has the sixth seed at where are we at? 22 exactly, 22 over 500.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
I
yet
mean,
and yet I'm 7 back at 8 over. So, if these teams all play to the middle and the good teams start to slide and the bad teams start to come up and we all sort of sit around 10 over, you could see a really, really ugly finish to this season where hearts are absolutely shattered on stat corrections or on one final Sunday, or it's just going to be madness. And it's possible that you don't have to be 20 over. You don't even have to be 15 over to make the playoffs this year. If things break right, there could be 7 teams within 3 games of each other.
yeah, I think that is more likely what is going to happen. And the reason why is just because these last 6 weeks, we've got so many guys playing against each other
Mhm.
for these spots. Like the schedule is inviting for chaos this year, which is amazing.
That could be the best part about this season is how much chaos happens in the final month before the playoffs begin. Benji, this has been an incredible week. Let's talk about the records that were set. Henry Collins continues to make history, my friend. He tied this season's doubles record with 24. Hell of a week.
Impressive. Oh
And
my God.
we also had an all-time record tied. Costas Paragis got 0 wins on the week, and that ties the all-time record with about like 20 or 30 other guys. Let's talk about our managers of the week. It is that time. Benji, I'm going to start with you here, and I do have Jason's 3 as well. So let's start with you here. Who is your number 3 manager of the week?
It's not difficult for me. It's the host of this show, Joe. It's you. And the reason why is because there was a lot of work to be done on Sunday, and I kept seeing the score tighten up on Friday and Saturday. I think at some point it was something like a 9-9, and I thought, you know what? If Joe can't really pick up steam here in the final day, he could be in trouble going into these final 6 weeks. Like 10-8 win for Joe won't be enough. An 11-9, 11-8 even probably won't be enough for Joe. But at some point, 9.9, you turn that into a +9. That was enormous and so impressive as usual. So well deserved for number 3.
I thank you. And I also thank Jason, who named me as his number 3 as well. My number 3, obviously, it can't be myself. So I'm going to go with the guy who beat our commissioner, James McCloskey. I'm going to give you a moment here. I know you talked about it on the first part of this podcast, but I'm going to give you the opportunity here to once again talk about James. And you've said that you've never beaten this guy. Here he is getting another 10-8 win over you. How do you feel about that?
Actually, I found out that in 2019, I actually had to double up on him. I mean, that feels like a long time ago, you know what I mean? Like since then, 2 championships, right? So, yeah, it was just an impossible team to really compete against, if or at least it felt that way. The guy had batting averages like 417 from Mountcastle, a 375 from Bohm, a 500 from Kim, who was just a thorn in my side all week. 300 for Shohei Ohtani, who had the best, day of baseball basically I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Even Santander, who had a 120 average, still found a way to pick on me. How many home runs did he have this week? He had he had 14 home runs this week. So, I mean, I don't know the last time someone did that, but I mean, I'm sure it's happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
But, even if I look at Adams, like who had a 300 batting average, he only had 12 home runs this week.
Mhm.
But yeah, tough team to play against. And fortunately, he made some mistakes too. And I was able to salvage a 10-8 loss.
Yeah. But if the guy's got your number like that and he keeps it going for that long, you said 2019 feels like a long time ago. Benny, it is a long time ago. It was 4 years ago already. And it's been a minute since you beat this guy. Now you have to wait until next season to do it again. Let's move on to number 2. Who you have at number 2?
Well, it was a tough battle between who's number 2 and number 1, but I guess the tightness of the matchup and maybe also the fact that Henry did miss out on that Melendez decision, that runs could have been different. So on that like very very small way to criticize, and I feel badly doing it for that reason. But I'll say Josh Haber is number 2 here.
Josh Haber is the unanimous number 2 this week. I and Jason also have him at number 2. It was a really good win, good stabilizing win for him to keep himself in the top conversation here, and he doesn't have to really sweat too badly going into the final weeks here. Sitting 5.5 out of first and 4.5 up on the 6th spot is just a nice little sandwich spot to sit while you go up against me. Hopefully you get a win here, or you survive to not take a bad loss and you just flip the calendar to the next and you keep on rolling. So good on Josh. Number 1 this week. Do we all have the same number 1?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if it's Mike Haber, then we do.
Yeah, of course
I
we do.
mean, what else can you say about him? I mean, thank you, Mike. I think a lot of us are saying that, like, thank you, Mike. Like, thank you for pushing Costas a little bit further into the rear view mirror, because he was getting pretty darn hot, and we needed the great management of Mike Haber, who has had Costas has kind of been his bugaboo for a little bit, right? We'll always remember 2021 semifinal, the year that Mike Haber probably should have won the whole damn thing based on how great that team was, how he assembled it, how he managed it, and then a shocking, very, very tight matchup that cost us one in the semifinals. And then, of course, week 1 of this year. And you're just thinking, like, hey, you know what? This is how it all gets started. Costas, Mike Haber, like we're all licking our chops watching that matchup. Costas wins it. So, in the past, Costas has said, oh, Mike Haber, I'm not so worried about him because I've beaten him before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, just because he said that, he's always taken those matchups seriously. He calls it the Mike Haber week. And he's also considered him and myself and you like that upper echelon of managers. So, like, even though he's felt confident in those matchups, he still takes Mike Haber very, very seriously. And this is probably a pretty convinced this is the only time that it's been a double up, like this kind of a clear win over Costas from Mike Haber. So that's I feel great on Mike Haber's side, right? Because he takes in week one a 14-6 win, right, over Mike Haber from Costas. 14-6. Like that was when Mike Haber was thinking going into week two, is this another like 2017 sort of season where like I didn't pick the right guys? He put him in that mental spot. And now here we are 16 weeks later, and it's a gut punch. It's a really big gut punch to Costas and a confident shot for Mike Haber. So
No
good
doubt.
for him.
No doubt. And getting this win, obviously, Costas will hold the tiebreaker if they meet in the playoffs for the third matchup this season. But that's not what's important here. For me, this is important to stamp yourself back in first place. And you know what, Mike? Go and run off with first place. Like, go remind everybody whose world we live in, because it's been now at least 3 years that I've seen Mike Haber stand at the top of this league year after year and go into the playoffs with a bye. So do it again, and you just keep putting yourself in the position to go and win a championship. You can't guarantee anything in this league. You cannot guarantee that you'll make the playoffs every year.
Right. Yeah, no, you got to keep winning stats. And last year, Mike didn't get the bye.
No, you're right.
As a result, he had to face me in the first round. And even with that crummy offense that I had, any team can beat any team, right? For 1 week. And I advanced. So he can't take anything for granted. And I'm pretty sure, even though week 22, he might have something wrapped up. He's not going to ho-hum it against James McCloskey. He's going to try to dominate every single week, try to win every single stat. And that's why I fear a guy like Frank Bucco this week that has to play him.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting week this week against Frank. He has the opportunity to put another nail into Frank's coffin as he slowly starts coming down this ladder, and Mike ascends into what should be a bye this year for him. But we will remain watching and listening to this story until the full picture is revealed. Benji, thanks so much for being here this week with me, man.
And pleasure, man. Great show. Great discussing it with you, and awesome banter as usual. I'm so excited. There's 6 weeks to go. It's come and gone so fast. And I'm sure when we're talking about week 21 going into 22, we'll be like, man, I can't believe it's almost over. It's happened that fast. And that just means we're having a blast.
It has been an amazing season, and we have got one hell of a roller coaster left. 6 to go. We have 10 teams in the hunt, with an 11th team that, if he's hot over this 6 weeks, could get into this hunt. So there's 11 alive teams with 6 to go. Are we going to start picking them off one by one as the weeks go? Yeah, probably. Maybe. Who knows? It's up to you guys. You're telling this story. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. And it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next.